Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're your shortcut to getting really informed on, well, some pretty crucial topics. Today, we're jumping straight into mastering the advanced job interview. It's high stakes, right? Our source material is fantastic for this. So it's called Mastering the Advanced Job Interview, and it actually includes a full start-to-finish interview simulation. Gives us a proper look behind the curtain.
Exactly. And our mission really is for you. We want to unpack the strategies, the specific words, the kind of thinking that makes an interview, genuinely effective. We're pulling out the absolute key nuggets for your next big opportunity. Because let's be honest, this isn't just about getting a job offer. It's much bigger. It's about understanding how to communicate professionally, how to present yourself well.
Yeah.
Skills that, frankly, help your whole career.
Okay, so let's get into the simulation. The source puts us right there. We're watching Emma, she's the HR pro,
Yeah.
interviewing David, the candidate. And right away, it's set up as a textbook example of doing it well.
Right. And it's key to remember, I think, that even though it is a simulation, the techniques, the kinds of questions David gets asked, they're pretty universal. Doesn't matter if you're in tech, finance, creative fields. These insights are really relevant if you're a learner, someone looking to level up their career. The core ideas hold true.
Right. Okay, so let's crack open David's playbook. How did he tackle those standard but often, tricky questions? We're really going to focus on the how, the strategy behind his answers, not just the surface level stuff. So, kicking things off, Emma asks that classic, can you walk me through your resume and tell me about your professional journey so far? And David, he starts chronologically. Makes sense. Begins with digital marketing at a startup. Managing social media, SEO, building that foundation in analytics, content, campaigns. Then he talks about moving up, leading a team at a mid-sized tech firm. And then finally, his current role, digital marketing manager at a fintech company, focusing on things like user acquisition, paid media, brand strategy.
And what's really fascinating there, I think, for you listening, is how he frames it. He's constantly pointing to measurable growth. And he gets both sides, the strategic and the creative aspects of marketing. It's not just a list of jobs. It's a narrative, right? A story of development and making an impact.
That's a great point. It's telling a story. Okay, so after that journey walkthrough, Emma asks the next big one. What attracted you to this role in particular? Now, this is where people often give those generic answers, isn't it? Like, oh, it's a great company.
Exactly. And David really avoids that trap. His answer is sort of three-pronged. First, he talks about the company's reputation, specifically mentioning innovation and ethical marketing and how that genuinely aligns with his own values.
Yeah.
That's key.
Yeah, so values alignment first. What else?
Then he connects it to the role itself,
Huh?
the scope.
Yeah.
Leading cross-functional projects, contributing to long-term strategy. He frames it as a natural next step in his career, logical progression. And third, he mentions the company culture. Specifically calls out the focus on continuous learning and collaboration as things that attract him.
So the crucial thing here seems to be the specificity. He didn't just say good culture.
Precisely. It raises that question, doesn't it? How do you show that specific alignment? David's answer proves he did his homework. He connected the dots between the company, the role, and his own background and aspirations. It's not generic at all.
Okay, now we get to the part that often trips people up the most. Behavioral questions. These are the ones designed to see how you actually handle situations using real examples.
Yeah, they can be tough because they require more than just saying you're good at something. You have to prove it with a story. David uses concrete examples really well here.
He does. So let's take the first one. Can you describe a time when you had to manage a difficult stakeholder or client? We've all been there, right?
Yeah.
David talks about a major campaign launch for a new product. And there was friction, specifically over the creative direction, with someone from the product team, a stakeholder.
And if we dig into the bigger picture, his solution is what's really instructive. He don't just, argue back or get defensive. He actually scheduled a one-on-one meeting. Purpose. To really understand the other person's perspective. Empathy first.
Okay, that's smart. And then what?
Then he shared data, marketing insights backed by data to sort of support his team's direction. And crucially, he focused on finding common ground. He kept bringing it back to the shared goal, which was a successful launch for everyone, and kept communication transparent.
And the result.
Well, the campaign exceeded KPIs, key performance indicators, so measurable success. But just as important, he gained mutual respect with that stakeholder. This whole thing is a great example of effective conflict resolution. It's about collaboration, not winning an argument.
Definitely a key takeaway there. Okay, next behavioral hurdle. Tell me about a time you failed or didn't meet expectations. What did you learn?
Oof, this one's tough. David gives a pretty candid example. Early career stuff. Underestimating data segmentation for an email campaign, set out a generic newsletter, and bam, engagement rates dropped significantly.
Yeah, and this is where authenticity is so important, right? You don't want to sound like you're just reciting some prepackaged failure story. David makes it impactful because he shows genuine self-awareness. He doesn't just state the failure. He explains how his manager helped him see the lack of personalization as a root cause. That's critical understanding why it failed.
Right, the analysis.
Exactly. And then, more importantly, he talks about what he did about it. He learned the value of targeted messaging and the importance of testing. And then he actually implemented segmentation strategies that, he notes, now consistently perform better. It's about the growth from the mistake. That's what interviewers want to see. Absolutely, showing that learning loop. Okay, let's talk priorities. We all juggle multiple projects, tight deadlines. So Emma asks, how do you prioritize tasks? David mentioned some practical tools here.
He does. He brings up things like time blocking, using project management tools, and specifically the Eisenhower matrix, the urgent important grid.
Right, that classic tool.
But it's not just the tools. It's his systematic approach. He identifies what's urgent and important, then he figures out what to delegate, what to schedule. But here's the kicker, I think. He emphasizes communicating timelines clearly with stakeholders.
Ah, the communication piece again.
Yes, it's proactive, it manages expectations, reduces surprises, vital in any busy role. So for you listening, it's not just about having a system, it's about communicating around that system too.
Makes total sense.
Okay.
Okay, leadership. Emma asks, has you led a team before? How would you describe your leadership style? David describes his style as collaborative and empowering. Says he sets clear expectations, gives regular feedback, and he uses this phrase, creating a space where team members feel safe to contribute ideas. That one jumped out at me.
It's a powerful phrase, isn't it? It signals he understands psychological safety in a team. That's huge. It goes way beyond just assigning tasks. It describes someone who fosters a supportive, growth-focused culture, an environment where people feel valued, heard, safe to innovate, basically.
So it shows he builds the team, not just manages the work.
Precisely. It's a sign of mature, effective leadership. He also mentions recognizing achievements and supporting professional growth. It's the whole package.
Got it. Okay, we're nearing the end of the interview simulation. Now for the big pitch. Why should we hire you? The grand finale question. David keeps it concise, confident. Says he brings a strong combination of strategic thinking, hands-on expertise, and a passion for innovation. Hits the key areas. He backs it up by saying he's demonstrated the ability to lead teams, drive results, and adapt quickly to change, ticking the boxes. And he finishes strong, stressing his commitment to delivering value and working with integrity.
Yeah, this is like the final synthesis, isn't it? It's a really strong summary. He ties his core strengths directly back to what the company likely needs, based on his research and the role description. He's not just saying, I'm good. He's confidently stating the meaningful impact he believes he can make. It's assertive but professional.
So the actionable insight for listeners is nail that personal elevator pitch.
Absolutely. Have that concise summary ready, your unique value, linked directly to their needs.
Okay, last bit, the logistics. Salary and availability can be awkward. David handles salary professionally, gives a range, $85,000 to $95,000 annually, but adds the important caveat, depending on the full compensation package. It says he's open to discussion, availability, standard 2 weeks notice, but notes he's flexible.
This just shows preparedness, doesn't it? And professional negotiation skills, even on tricky topics. He gives a realistic range showing he knows his worth in industry standards, but also signals flexibility. It's well handled. Know your value, be prepared, but stay open.
All right, so we've walked through the entire simulation now. Let's step back and really unpack the core strategies, the specific language that made David's performance, well, that textbook example.
Yeah, this is where the real learning comes in for you. The debrief in the source material really flags why it works so well. And David himself apparently stressed preparation and staying calm. Seems obvious, but crucial.
Definitely. Let's pull out some of that key vocabulary and those phrases the debrief highlighted. Because using the right language shows fluency, right? Things like walk me through your resume, obviously, but also stakeholder alignment, segmentation strategies, cross-functional team, Eisenhower matrix, compensation package. These aren't just buzzwords.
No, they really aren't. They show you understand the concepts behind the words. And we should also mention pain point. Even if David didn't use that exact phrase here, understanding customer or company pain points is a core professional skill. It shows you're focused on solutions.
Good point.
And don't forget those powerful behavioral phrases David used. We found common ground, exceeded KPIs, created a safe space for contribution. These aren't just descriptions. They demonstrate skills like collaboration, results orientation, and leadership through storytelling. They prove competence.
Okay, so bringing it all together for your next interview, what's the concrete advice from the source?
It boils down to a few key things. Structure your answers, especially behavioral ones.
Yeah.
Use that STAR method: situation, task, action, result. It works. Be specific. Be honest. Don't wing it. And use vocabulary that's advanced, sure, but still sounds natural. Don't force jargon.
Exactly. And building on that, the source really hammers home the prep work. Research the company inside out, understand the role deeply, and then tailor your answers. Show you've really thought about how you fit this specific opportunity. Show genuine interest, which leads to an interesting question, maybe for you listening. When it comes to interview success, how much is it what you actually say versus how well prepared you are to say it confidently and clearly? Where's the balance?
That's a great question to ponder. And I think David's performance, as we've dissected it, really speaks to the power of that preparation driving the what and the how. So we've taken a really deep dive today into an advanced job interview, pulled apart the language, the strategies, what made it a textbook example. And just remember, these insights, they're not just about nailing that next interview. They're about building communication skills that genuinely help you throughout your entire career path. So here's something to think about. How does carefully crafting your interview answers, like the ones we looked at today, do more than just showcase your past? How does it actually foreshadow your future success, your problem-solving ability in that potential new role? How does it paint a picture of the value you'll bring?
Something definitely worth considering. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive, and really good luck on your next big opportunity.